In 12th place, the Weasley family. Yeah, I know your brain wants to scream, no way, they're broke. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions in the fandom. The Weasleys aren't poor, not even close. First, Arthur Weasley holds a long-term ministry position in the misuse of Muggle artifacts office. It's not glamorous, but it's stable government employment with benefits, pensions, and wartime job security. Molly, meanwhile, runs the household like a logistics operation, stretching galleons with near magical efficiency. Second, the borough is fully owned property. No rent, no mortgage, no landlord. In the wizarding world, land ownership is one of the biggest long-term wealth stabilizers, and the Weasleys have had it for generations. Third, their biggest problem is volume, not money management. 7 children, Hogwarts tuition, school supplies, pets, robes, wands, and constant repairs from magical chaos. Any family would look broke under that pressure. And here's the overlooked part. Post-Second Wizarding War, the Weasley fortune quietly increases. Fred's legacy turns Weasley's Wizard Wheezies into one of the most profitable businesses in Diagon Alley. Ron later becomes co-owner. That income doesn't erase decades of frugality, but it permanently stabilizes the family line. 11th place, the Diggory family. The Diggorys represent something very specific in the wizarding world. Clean, ministry-backed wealth with zero drama. Amos Diggory isn't a background employee. He works in the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, a department that handles high-risk, high-volume matters involving dragons, werewolves, and international magical law. That's not entry-level pay. That's long-term senior ministry income with protections, pensions, and influence. Then look at the lifestyle clues. Cedric Diggory never shows a single sign of financial limitation. His Hogwarts education is fully supported. His gear is top tier, and he moves comfortably between Hogwarts, ministry events, and international wizarding spaces. This matters. Rowling is very intentional with money stress, and Cedric never has it. The Diggorys also own their home near Ottery St. Catchpole, one of the most quietly prosperous wizarding regions in Britain. Property ownership in Wizarding Britain is rare and extremely valuable. They also attend events like the Quidditch World Cup, which is not cheap. Tickets, port keys, travel, and accommodations all require serious disposable income. The Diggorys don't hoard gold. They don't flex vaults. They do something far more powerful. They stay comfortable in every room they enter. And in the wizarding world, that's real wealth. 10th place, the Longbottom family. The Longbottoms were once far richer than most families on this list. That's the tragedy. This is an ancient pureblood house with deep roots in wizarding Britain, immense respect, and historic wealth tied to land, legacy, and political relevance. For generations, the Longbottom name carried real weight. Frank and Alice Longbottom were elite aurors, top-tier, high-risk, high-status roles in the wizarding economy. Then came the war. After being tortured into permanent incapacitation by Death Eaters, Frank and Alice are placed in long-term care at St. Mungo's. That kind of magical medical treatment is extremely expensive, and yet the Longbottom fortune clearly absorbs it without collapsing, which tells us something important. The family already had substantial wealth before the war. Add that to Augusta Longbottom, who controls the estate afterward. She maintains the family home, Neville's education, and the Longbottom legacy without financial strain. No selling assets, no downsizing, no desperation. And here's the key detail. Neville inherits everything. No siblings, no split vaults, no contested claims. By the end of the series, Neville becomes the sole heir to an old, intact, pure-blood fortune, one that survived Voldemort twice. The Longbottoms aren't flashy, but Neville quietly becomes very rich. 9th place, the Lovegood family. On the surface, the Lovegoods look broke. In reality, they're financially weird, not poor. Xenophilius Lovegood owns and operates The Quibbler, an independent wizarding publication. It's not mainstream, it's not ministry approved, and it's absolutely not cheap to run. Printing costs, enchanting photos, nationwide distribution, all of that requires steady income. And here's the key point. The Quibbler never shuts down. Despite public ridicule, boycotts, and ministry pressure, Xenophilius continues publishing without visible financial collapse. That suggests either a loyal subscription base large enough to sustain it, pre-existing family wealth funding the operation, or, most likely, both. wealth. Then there's the house. The Lovegoods live in a fully owned, multi-story, magically modified tower on private land. No rent, no landlord, no obvious money stress. Weird architecture? Yes. Financial instability? No. They also spend very little. No luxury items, no status purchases, no political donations. Their money goes into knowledge, research, printing, and magical experimentation, not consumption. Xenophilius also possesses rare magical knowledge, forbidden lore, and obscure artifacts most wizards never even see. Access like that isn't accidental, it's inherited, researched, and quietly funded over generations. 8th place, the Ollivander family. Say hello to the wand-making monopoly. Ollivanders have been crafting wands since 382 BC, nearly 2,000 years of uninterrupted magical manufacturing. That's not a business, that's an institution. Every wizard in Britain needs a wand, and for centuries, the overwhelming majority of them came from one place. No competitors, no alternatives, no price wars. Each wand is custom-made, handcrafted, and irreplaceable. That alone makes it a premium product. But here's the important part. Wands aren't optional. You can't opt out of this market. The Ollivanders also control rare wand materials, unicorn hair, phoenix feathers, dragon heartstrings, and maintain generational knowledge no one else possesses. That kind of intellectual property is priceless. And yet, the family lives modestly. Small shop, minimal staff, no sprawling estate, which means profit margins stay insanely high. When Voldemort disappears, Ollivander, the shop, doesn't vanish because of bankruptcy. It vanishes because the Dark Lord wants the secrets. The Ollivanders aren't flashy rich, they're foundational rich, and that's far more dangerous. 7th place, the Potter family. We all remember the moment Harry sees his gold for the first time. A vault stacked with coins, piles of galleons, enough money that, a few minutes later, he casually buys an entire candy cart on the Hogwarts Express, mostly to solve Ron Weasley's hunger problem. So, where does that fortune actually come from? It all starts with Linfred of Stinchcombe, an early Potter ancestor known for inventing highly effective magical remedies. His work laid the foundation for what would become one of the most profitable potion lines in wizarding history. Generations later, Fleamont Potter took that legacy and perfected it, creating Sleekeazy's hair potion, a product that exploded in popularity across the magical world. Then came the move that defined the Potter fortune. Fleamont sold the company. That single decision multiplied the family's wealth overnight. Clean gold, legal gold. No politics, no dark artifacts, no ministry leverage. Just innovation turned into profit. Then comes Harry. He inherits the entire Potter vault, untouched. No siblings, no disputes, no debt. On top of that, Sirius Black later leaves him Grimmauld Place, and the remaining Black estate tied to Sirius's line. And Harry himself barely spends a thing. No luxury obsession, no estate upgrades, no rich kid behavior. Add Auror income and eventual promotion, and Harry becomes one of the wealthiest wizards alive without ever trying. 6th place, the Greengrass family. If you've ever thought, wait, who are the Greengrasses? That's exactly the point. The Greengrass family is one of those ancient pure bloodlines that exists entirely in the background of the wizarding world. No scandals, no headline moments, no cursed mansions exploding on page. And yet, they are consistently listed among Britain's old magical elite. Canon confirms the Greengrasses as part of the Sacred 28, families considered pure long before Voldemort ever weaponized the concept. That means land vaults and influence that predate the ministry itself. So, why haven't we noticed them? Because they never needed attention. We do technically see them. Daphne Greengrass attends Hogwarts during Harry's years. She's in Slytherin. She's well-connected, well-funded, completely unbothered by politics, wars, or status anxiety. That's a visual cue Rowling uses constantly. Comfort without explanation equals inherited wealth. The Greengrasses don't run public businesses. They don't chase ministry power. They don't bankroll noseless dark lords. They invest, inherit, and wait. That's real money. 5th place, the Black family. If wizarding wealth had a family crest carved into stone, it would belong to the Blacks. The Black family is one of the oldest, richest, and most infamous dynasties in magical Britain. Their fortune wasn't built, it was inherited, layer by layer, over centuries of pure blood dominance. Land, property, grimoires, heirlooms, dark artifacts. This wasn't money, This was accumulated power. Grimmauld Place alone tells the story. A massive ancestral townhouse hidden in plain sight, stuffed with magical objects so dangerous they had to be permanently sealed away. That kind of collection doesn't come from one generation. It's the result of centuries of hoarding magical assets most families never even see. But here's why the Blacks aren't higher. They imploded. Internal warfare destroyed what external enemies never could. Heirs were disowned, fortunes were split, assets were locked behind blood wards and family curses. Sirius Black inherited a massive portion of the estate, but by then, the family structure that protected and expanded that wealth was already collapsing. The Blacks didn't lose their fortune to war or the ministry. They lost it to ideology. Pure blood obsession fractured the dynasty from the inside, turning one of the greatest wizarding fortunes into a cautionary tale. Which is why the Blacks sit at number 5, an empire-level fortune broken by its own blood. Next up, in 4th place, is another family you probably don't recognize, the Nott family. The Nott family is an ancient British pure-blood family, listed among the Sacred 28, the official registry of the oldest and most respectable wizarding lineages. That alone places them in the highest social and economic tier of magical Britain. At Hogwarts, the Notts are a Slytherin family. The most notable member we see is Theodore Nott, a classmate of Draco Malfoy. He's quiet, observant, highly intelligent, and deliberately stays out of the spotlight. That personality isn't accidental, it reflects how the entire family operates. The Notts are repeatedly described in canon material as very old and very wealthy. Their wealth doesn't come from flashy mansions or political dominance. It comes from centuries of preserved assets, land, private vaults, inherited property, and investments that were never gambled away. Unlike the Blacks, they didn't implode. Unlike the Malfoys, they didn't flaunt power. Unlike the Lestranges, they didn't obsess over dark artifacts. Even during Voldemort's rise, the Notts stayed involved, but cautious, close enough to survive, quiet enough to avoid collapse. That's why you don't hear about them, and that's exactly why they're richer than most families you do remember. 3rd place, the Lestrange family. The Lestranges are old money, dark wizard aristocracy, the kind of family whose name was already terrifying people long before Voldemort decided noses were optional. This is Sacred 28 royalty, which basically means ancient wealth, ancient grudges, and a family tree that looks less like a tree and more like a circle. Their real financial superpower? Marriage stacking. Pure bloods didn't marry for love, they married for vault expansion. The Lestranges strategically intermarried with other elite families like the Blacks and Rosiers, merging gold, estates, and political immunity the way Muggles merge corporations. Romance was optional, dowries were not. That's how you end up with a family rich enough to openly fund dark movements, and still be invited to respectable wizarding dinners like nothing happened. Oh, that coup attempt? Awkward. Fancy another pumpkin juice? And then there's the Gringotts vault. The Lestrange vault is so aggressively protected that even being a Lestrange doesn't grant easy access. Dragon, curses, multiplying treasures, probably a curse that judges your soul on entry. This isn't savings account rich, this is dynasty level. Trust no one, assume everyone is trying to steal your gold rich. Their greatest inheritance isn't gold, it's paranoia. 2nd place, the Malfoy family. The Malfoys are strategic wealth incarnate. Not the oldest pure blood family, but hands down the best at never being on the losing side. Their fortune kicks off right after the Norman conquest, when Armand Malfoy follows William the Conqueror into Britain and immediately realizes something revolutionary. Muggles with power are incredibly profitable if you stand close enough. While other wizards were hiding in forests, pretending kings didn't exist, the Malfoys embedded themselves right next to the throne, offering magical assistance, influence, and extremely convenient favors. Translation: early access to land, protection, and centuries of you owe us. And this was never luck. For generations, Malfoys stayed close to the ministry, close to royalty, and very close to whoever looked like they were about to win. Regime change? Irrelevant. When you've already donated to both sides, someone always sends you a thank you owl. They also preferred political laundering. Publicly, elegant, charitable, respectable. Privately, cursed artifacts, dark objects, and enough questionable heirlooms to give Nocturnally anxiety. Lucius's cane literally hides a wand, because even his accessories are flexing. Best part? No prison time. Ever. No asset seizures. No frozen vaults. Even after Voldemort Voldemort's fall, the Malfoys walked free because they mastered plausible deniability long before dark marks became a bad look. They're not just rich, they're legally untouchable rich. First place, the Flamel family. The Flamel family is one of the strangest entries on any list of rich wizarding families, because their wealth didn't come from land, vaults, or political power. It came from something far more dangerous: immortality. At the center of the family's fortune was Nicholas Flamel, the only known wizard in modern history to successfully create the Philosopher's Stone. This legendary object could transform any metal into pure gold and produce the elixir of life, granting eternal youth to whoever drank it. For centuries, this effectively made the Flamels unlimited in wealth, while Nicholas and his wife, Perenelle, lived quietly and avoided public power. Their financial influence was immense. Gold was never a concern. Time was never a limitation. Unlike families such as the Malfoys or Blacks, the Flamels didn't need political leverage. Patience alone made them unstoppable. However, their wealth came with a cost. Immortality drew attention. Dark wizards hunted the stone. Entire magical institutions feared what would happen if its power fell into the wrong hands. Eventually, Nicholas made the ultimate sacrifice. He chose to destroy the stone, willingly giving up both immortality and infinite riches. When the Flamels died, their fortune vanished with them. No vaults passed down, no dynasty remained, just a legend and a reminder that in the wizarding world, the greatest wealth is often the most dangerous to keep. But you know what's even more dangerous? All 11 Muggle events that affected the wizarding world. That's your next lesson here at Stickman Hogwarts. Click now before Flamel turns you into gold.